The Muscatine City Council will come to order. Fran, would you, for the record, perform a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Lorette.
Present.
Fitzgerald.
Present.
Notfig.
Present.
Shahade.
Present.
Bynum.
Present.
Phillips. Present. Spread.
Present.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you, Fran. Folks, would you stand and join me in a pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. As I was absent last week from council meeting for the second week in a row, because these folks are really proud of their recognition here, Roger and John from the wastewater treatment facility, would you come to the podium and explain to our viewers as well as our live audience here in council chambers about your new award?
Yes, I guess this was here at the last meeting, but I was.
You have to speak into the microphone, Roger, if you don't mind.
I'll get it set up here. Something we're pretty proud of. I did put 4 copies of the magazines on the table here, starting on page 14. TPO magazine is a relatively new magazine, but it's a national publication. It is the Rolling Stone magazine. That's what John for wastewater operators.
How cool is that?
Well, that's a stretch.
It is one of the best water wastewater magazines that is even out there. That is, as I said, fairly new. Most of the magazines that are on the market these days are geared toward the engineers and very complicated, but this magazine is straightforward, and it's what other plants are doing and how they're doing it. We were approached probably because we won the Biosolids of the Year award for the aid of our state association. That's where I think
Roger, could you briefly explain what biosolids are?
Biosolids is the new name for sludge that people in the past would probably have calling it sludge. They didn't like that name, I guess, or whatever. But it's the product that's towards the end that the farmers are just our farmers in our area. And in most areas, they want this stuff. It replaces their nitrogen that they don't have to go out and buy. We've got the umbilical system, thanks to Jim Hahn, and that helped us win the award, I think, for the state association, because we got back on our umbilical system out west of the bypass. And we land apply everything out there. It's about 4 million gallons a year that we apply to the farmland. We used to have some of the equipment, if you remember, that we were trying to sell, that we used to have to go out, and we were going 20 and 30 miles out into the area, and we don't have to do that anymore. It cuts down on time, labor, everything. It's just, it's a great program. It was a great program when I came here, but it's just gotten that much better. And this is, we're pretty proud of the article that came out in the magazine, and this plaque is just the pages from that mounted, and we'll mount that down at the plant itself. I just want to thank all of the employees that have worked very hard to get the award, and their efforts have been greatly appreciated. So, I don't know if John wants to add anything or not. Great. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Roger. John?
There are 4
Congratulations.
magazines there if you want to take a look.
Okay, folks, item number 4 on your agenda. If there's anyone in council chambers that would like to address council regarding an issue or an item that is not included on tonight's agenda, now would be the time to come forward to the podium, tell us your name and your address, please. Okay, with that, we'll move on. Item 5, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes items 6A through D, items 8A through E, filing of communications, that's 12A through E, and tonight's bills totaling $1,685,941.90?
So move, Your Honor.
Motion by Bob,
Second.
second Jeanette. This is a voice vote. Any discussion, folks, by the way? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, dropping down to item 7 on the agenda this evening, this public hearing, by the way, this public hearing concerns a proposed urban renewal plan amendment to the Muscatine urban renewal area. In July 2012, the state of Iowa began new reporting requirements for cities utilizing urban renewal programs authorized under Iowa law. In part, the new changes require cities to list specific projects that may be undertaken and funded through the use of one or more of those programs. Prior to any consideration of an amendment to the existing urban renewal plan, a public hearing is required. Now is the time for the public to comment.
Move to close.
Motion to close, Mark. Second, Scott. Voice vote also, folks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Down to item number 10 from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution setting a public hearing on rezoning the property located at 2875 Highway 61. A request has been received from Community Bank on behalf of Mills Marine LLC for the rezoning of 2 adjoining parcels totaling approximately 18 acres located at the above address from Muscatine County C1 to City C1, Neighborhood and General Commercial. There is a signed annexation agreement for these parcels, and this rezoning would run concurrently with the completion of the annexation process. Prior to any formal action by City Council, a public hearing is required. This hearing will take place on Thursday, December 6th, 2012 at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That would be Phil, and a second?
Second.
Second, Scott. Any discussion, council? Very good. This is a roll call vote, beginning with Phil.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Tom?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
And Scott?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Dropping down to item C. By the way, item B has been removed from tonight's agenda. For those of you in the audience that are following the agenda, it's been scratched from tonight's meeting, okay? Item C, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution setting a public hearing for the rezoning of property owned by Ripley's Development Corporation. The corporation is the deed holder of 9 parcels totaling 131.8 acres of land along US Highway 61, upon which Ripley's Mobile Home Park is located. An agreement has been signed by the corporation to voluntarily annex these parcels into the city of Muscatine. It is being requested that these parcels be rezoned from Muscatine County M2, A1, and R4 to an R4 residential district. This rezoning will run concurrently with the annexation of these parcels. Prior to any formal action by City Council, a public hearing is required. This hearing will be held on Thursday, December 6th, 2012 at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
It's Tom, and a second?
Second.
Second, Jeanette. Any discussion, council? It's a roll call vote, beginning with Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item 11 from the City Administrator. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution approving an urban renewal plan amendment to the Muscatine urban renewal area. In July 2012, the state of Iowa began new reporting requirements for cities utilizing urban renewal programs authorized under Iowa law. In part, the new changes require cities to list specific projects that may be undertaken and funded through the use of one or more of those programs. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That would be Phil.
Second.
Second, Tom. Any discussion, council? It's a roll call vote, beginning with Phil.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
And Scott?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item B, presented for City Council's consideration are 6 resolutions approving internal advances of TIF funds. Cities in Iowa are required to certify the amount of TIF funds to be claimed for each TIF district no later than December 1st of the year prior to the fiscal year for which the funds will be collected. The city must have incurred debt in order to claim the TIF funds to be certified. Debt certified can be in the form of general obligation bonds, tax increment revenue bonds, TIF rebate agreements, or internal advances or loans. In recent years, the city has claimed less than the full amount of incremental taxes available in each of the TIF's districts. The following resolutions authorize an internal advance to the tax increment revenue fund. Council, I will call for a vote, or a motion, a second discussion, and a vote for each of the 6, okay? And all will be a roll call vote, by the way. Is there a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing an internal advance for administrative and professional support costs?
So moved, Your Honor.
Was that you, Phil?
Yes.
Okay, and a
Second.
second, Scott. Any discussion, council? As I said, a roll call vote, beginning with Phil.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
And Scott?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item number 2, is there a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing an internal advance for a Chamber Economic Development grant?
So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Tom,
Second.
second.
Phil.
Phil, discussion, council? Okay, beginning with Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. The next one, is there a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing an internal advance for Bi-State Economic Development Loan Program grant?
So moved.
That would be Scott.
Second, Your Honor.
Second, Phil. Discussion, council. Okay, beginning with Scott.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
And Osama.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Motion number 4, is there a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing an internal advance for the Municipal Arts Center boiler project?
So moved.
Motion by Jeanette,
Second.
second Tom, discussion, council? Okay, around the table again, beginning with Jeanette
Aye.
and Bob,
Aye.
Osama,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
and Mark,
Aye.
and Tom.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Almost forgot you, Tom. And the next one, is there a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing an internal advance for the City Hall boiler replacement project?
So moved.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second Scott. Any discussion, council? Okay, beginning with Mark.
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Osama?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
And Phil?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. And I believe it's the last one of the 6. Is there a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing an internal advance for the property acquisition for the Colorado Street Improvement Project?
So moved, Your Honor.
That's Tom, I believe. Okay, and a second?
Second.
Second, Scott. Discussion, council? Beginning with Tom
Aye.
and Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
And Mark.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Okay, down to item C,
Can we
presented,
go for discussion on
I'm sorry?
Can we go for discussion?
You want to discuss that item?
Yeah, I want to discuss all of them. I waited till the end here just to make a couple comments on this.
Okay, all right, sure. You have the floor.
Is that okay? All right. Well, this afternoon here, I shared an email with all council members and the city administrator, finance director here, just to give a concern about everything that's taking place here, especially not only on this, the TIF issue. It's a little bit complicated than what we think or what I gathered out of it, but only on the urban renewal plan as well. And I just want to make clear to everybody here, and just to be on the record here, I think as City Council here, we should not fund any outside agency with borrowed money. We should never fund ongoing expenses with any borrowed money, and we should never fund everyday operating on expenses with borrowed money as well. I'm all for the capital projects that's taking place here, but I talked to the city administrator this afternoon here, which he called, and I just want to make sure that any of these items here that we are approving, and we approved, that during the budget session we can relocate or allocate certain funds during the budget session. And I will just want to confirm with Nancy, and this question, yes or no, this is the case that we can do that. Right now, we are doing it here. I just want to make sure that all the outside agencies, the operating everyday operation here, that no borrowed money should be attached to this. It should be coming from our budget after we balance the budget, and how we want to allocate these funds, it should be that way. I just want to make sure that during the budget that we can do that. That's the only question I have.
In each of the resolutions, there is a part on the second paragraph in section 1 that does say, there's a whole bunch of language before this, but it does say, and the city council reserves the right to appropriate funds to the repayment of the advance or to withhold such appropriation at its discretion. Okay. So council does have, in the resolutions, you
and we're talking about fiscal year 13-14 on this one here, so.
We need, with these advances, we need to let the county auditor know by December 1st that we're claiming these funds. So they will be claimed in order to get them. They need that information so they can tell all the taxing entities what their regular taxable values are. So it's kind of a chicken and an egg kind of thing. This will be claimed, but if council would choose not to do it, we would still have those funds, and those would remain in those TIF accounts for other purposes. But there is that kind of out in the resolution if council chose to not fund something.
The way I understood, and it's a good bedtime reading. It put you right to bed here. What they did in Des Moines here, it's pretty good, and it's very vague how to comprehend what they are trying to do. It's very tight. I mean, I understand it, and I understand the boiler for the probably the art center. People are coming here. You can justify that. How did we justify the boiler at the city hall? I mean.
We had, actually the first $70,000 for the boiler, we had funded from the June 2010 bond issue from the TIF portion of it. To do economic development efforts, you need a municipal government to do that, so I don't know if that was part of the our rationale, but it is, that's what city governments do, is encourage economic development, and City Hall facilitates that.
All right. Fair enough.
Okay.
If that's how we interpret it, that's good.
We are also not claiming any more TIF funds than we did a year ago. Even though we have to have debt in the form of an advance to use for these projects, but we do have sufficient funds available in each TIF account for these. So even though we have to call it an advance or a loan, we have to do that to be able to use the funds. So we're not really borrowing more money. We already have it, but we just are not able to legally use it without creating this internal loan.
In other words, we have to show a debt to get the money back.
Right,
Is that
yes,
more or less?
yeah.
Is that
And that's part of the
accurate
TIF
statement?
law. You have to have incurred debt.
Yeah.
The other thing, Nancy, that you shared with me this afternoon is that another provision with the new state rules are a little bit more detailed feasibility of the individual projects that are within the TIF districts, isn't that?
Yes, especially any building improvement, well, like the City Hall and Art Center boilers, there's a special provision. There has to be more of a feasibility analysis on other possible sources of funding, and that was included in the resolution for the urban renewal plan amendment. So that will be taken into account for future building-related projects we're considering funding with TIF. The other thing, I think Phil asked me this before the meeting, this does give us flexibility for this upcoming budget, and even though we don't have our evaluations, we do know that police and fire pension rates are going up from 26% to 30%, so there's going to be some pressure on being able to maintain our general fund balance and an acceptable tax rate. So this does all play into that overall general fund budget.
Thank you, Nancy.
Before you step down, Nancy, anyone else, council?
I just want to make a comment that this is not necessarily something we want to do at this point in time, but the law states we have to do it in order to make sure that we're covered, so that we have the funds available if we need them. If we don't need them and we can use the budget, then the money will just stay in the TIF accounts. So it's, I think the last time we did this, we raised the same question, and that was the answer we got, was that we needed to do it in preparation, because otherwise in February, you don't have the option. The option's gone, so.
They even get it a little bit
Necessary.
tighter this year than last year and the year before.
Pardon?
It's a little bit tighter this year here with the language that they have in place, so.
Yeah.
And you have to show a depth to make sure that you are regaining all these funds into the TIF fund. I mean, that's more or less, that's what it is.
And more things have to be specifically in that urban renewal plan before you can do any of this. So that resolution really directly ties into to these
But-
6
Yeah,
resolutions.
but my main concern was on the urban renewal plan. I would like to see these funds allocated to the capital project than allocated to outside funding or operating on day-to-day expenses. That's my main objective on that, so. And that's, we can discuss and we can revisit during budget, and we can vote that way.
Yes, okay.
Thank you. That's what I need.
Anyone else, council?
Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks.
Well, speaking of boilers, let's talk about this one, okay? Item C, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution accepting the completed work for the museum boiler replacement project and authorizing final payment. The city entered into a contract with J.L. Brady in the amount of $76,084 for this project. Fran sent out an email this afternoon correcting
It's on
the
that.
agenda. So $76,084 for this project. The work has been completed. There was one change order which resulted in a deduction of $5,147 for a final contract amount of $70,937. It is staff's recommendation City Council accept the completed work and authorize final payment to the contractor. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved.
I think Phil beat you, Bob, but I'll give you a second. How's that? Any discussion, council? Roll call vote, beginning with Phil.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
And Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item D, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution authorizing changes to the Muscatine Municipal Housing Agency Public Housing Admissions and Continued Occupancy Policy. Wow. Staff has reviewed federal regulations and Department of Housing and Urban Development recommendations and is now recommending changes that will allow the MMHA to better serve its residents. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That's Tom.
Second.
Second, Scott. Discussion, council. Also a roll call, beginning with Tom.
Aye.
And Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Osama.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
And Mark.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item E, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution authorizing changes to the Muscatine Municipal Housing Agency Administrative Plan for the Section 8 Tenant-Based Housing Choice Voucher Program. Staff has reviewed federal regulations and Department of Housing and Urban Development recommendations and is now recommending changes that will allow MMHA to better serve its residents. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So move.
Scott?
Second, Your Honor.
Second, Osama. Any discussion, council? We'll start with Scott.
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob? Aye. And Osama.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item F, presented for City Council's consideration, is a request to approve a contract with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources for a diesel emission reduction program. A sub-grant agreement has been prepared that will allow the city to receive funding from the Environmental Protection Agency via the Iowa Department of Natural Resources through the 2013 State Clean Diesel Grant Program. If approved, the city will receive $123,564 to purchase and install 8 diesel particulate filters and 8 back pressure monitors for existing city transit buses. The funding will also permit the purchase of 5 crankcase ventilation systems, 5 diesel oxidation catalysts, and 1 regeneration panel for city dump trucks. The funding does not require a local match. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Osama, and a second?
Second.
Second, Tom. Any discussion, council?
Yeah, Mayor, I do have a couple concerns about this. Just looking at the statement of work on this grant that we're looking to take $123,000 for, especially in the case of the crankcase ventilation systems. The model years of the trucks we're talking about modifying are 1994, 95, 98. There's a 2000 and a 2004. And my concern is, how long are these vehicles going to be in operation with the city before we replace them? I think a couple of these were actually up in the budget. I'm not sure. Likewise with the buses and the diesel particulate filters, we did budget this year to purchase for replacement 2 light-duty buses. I guess my question is, are we going to accept a $123,000 grant, do this work, and most of these vehicles will probably be gone in the next few years?
I guess my response to this regarding the transit vehicles, we did budget for the replacement of 2 as long as we were able to get state funding to assist us with that. And at the time of the budget, we did not have that. Christy Corpy, our transit supervisor, is at a state meeting right now, and she did text me yesterday indicating that it would seem that we will have 1 bus that will be funded for replacement instead of the 2. But we have a fleet of 11 buses, and so to replace or to upgrade 8 of them, I doubt that we'll be replacing the buses in the near future. As far as the trucks are concerned, and Steve is the one that's responsible for working with this grant, I do know that we have been holding our vehicles longer than what we have in the past because they're expensive. They but we're also doing a better job at preventive maintenance on them and able to keep them in the fleet longer. And the other thing with these vehicles often is that when they go out of service, for instance, with roadway maintenance operation, they're picked up by another department for use, and we gain another couple of years more out of them. Now, Steve, do you know, is there anything about these vehicles that you might share?
The only other comment I would offer is that there were a number of criteria to be, A, they had to be diesel equipped, and B, they had to be certain years of certain equipment, because some of the other ones have packages already on them, so they weren't eligible for this kind of work. So we identified the ones that were eligible in discussions with DNR and EPA, and they agreed that those are the vehicles we should apply for, and that's what we did. The thought was we'll get many years of service out of those vehicles. Now, can something go south? I suppose so, but in discussions with Christy Corpy and Gail Fry, vehicle maintenance supervisor, they felt that these vehicles were good candidates for that, and apparently IDNR and EPA also agree that they're good candidates for the program.
Okay, were any of these vehicles ones that were brought up for replacement in the budget? I mean, I know we had quite a few.
None of these vehicles are being replaced, Mark. We have, the ones out of Public Works that we were replacing, we've already taken action on. And so, to the best of my knowledge, none of these are being replaced. And I
They
have
are
to
not.
conclude that we would not recommend a vehicle if we were going to replace it. So,
That's correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Anyone else, council? Questions? Okay, this is a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried 7-0. Item G, presented for city council's consideration, is a request from the police department to purchase a vehicle. In September 2012, a Ford Expedition used as a drug task force vehicle was wrecked and declared a total loss by the insurance company. The city was paid $19,300 by the insurance company for the vehicle. A 2009 Chevrolet Trailblazer with 44,000 miles on it was found at Krieger Motors for $18,750. This vehicle will meet the needs of the department. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So move, Your Honor.
That would be Bob.
Second.
Second, Scott. Discussion, council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item H, is a request to approve the 2013 core values, vision, and mission, and the 2013 City Council goals and management agenda. Is there a motion to approve the 2013 core values, vision, and mission?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
I heard Phil, and we'll give the second to Jeanette. Discussion, council.
Mayor, I had requested a change that Greg had, through the email that Greg had emailed back and proposed some additional wording. And I don't have it, I don't have it with me, but what I'd ask is what we're looking at here, does it include the change?
If you scroll down, I think your email might be there. Further.
I have your message if you want to look at this.
You do.
Did Greg respond to that email, Randy?
Yes, he did.
Indicate that?
Okay, here it is.
I can't get it. I don't know why, but
I think we would have to add the language, Mark.
Develop policies and incentives to encourage infill opportunities and address blight within the
Oh, I
city
see.
limits.
You mean his reply from your email is not there?
Yes.
But it's not in the language of what they proposed. It wasn't in the language that it's.
No, we
on
would
the-
be adding
we
that to
added.
this.
So an amendment maybe, or?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to amend and
Greg's?
change the language to,
For Fran's benefit, would you state your amendment,
I've got,
proposed amendment? Do you have it?
I've got the language he's wanting to include this right here.
You see it?
do you want me to repeat that, Mayor?
For Fran's benefit, for matter of record, yes.
Okay, to change the wording on that particular goal to read, develop policies and incentives to encourage infill opportunities and address blight within the city limits.
Second.
Okay, that's the motion. We have a second. Discussion, council?
I have
Amendment.
I have a problem with this. I know, I understand the issue, that we do not want to have, we want to eliminate the, quote, blighted areas in the city of Muscatine. The term blighted comes from the documentation and so forth that the state requires. It's either blighted or slum. Obviously, blighted sounds a lot better than slum. Putting in our goals methods that we are going to alleviate or potentially alleviate the blighted areas, if you want to call them that, makes more sense than putting a goal out there that includes the term blighted / slum. Slum isn't included, but blighted area. This is on our, the goals would be on our website. You're going to continue to perpetuate the blighted comments. The only time anybody ever talks about this is when we have an economic development grant, or we have other grant opportunities that require us to use the state language and federal languages. So I don't think this needs to be in as printed in our goals. So I would encourage council not to go along with this change.
Any other discussion on the amendment?
Your Honor, as we discussed previously, the word blighted to me means run down, ready to fall down, et cetera, the bottom of the pile type of real estate. And I don't think there's any parts of Muscatine that we want to classify as blighted. I certainly agree with Phil that we should not be using that term.
I understand the concern, but the definition of blight differs from that in the federal regs. It is clearly laid out by, federal housing policy what blight is. I don't think it goes as far as you're saying. I understand the concern. I don't think it's intended that way in the federal regs, but it is key to getting the funding we want in the future.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify two things here. Number one, we have already set the designation of blighted. It's not, we can't come back now and say, well, we shouldn't use that term. We've officially given it that term. We've already approved that. That's what's opened up more of the economic tools that we're hoping to use to attack this problem. But to address something Phil said there, the blighted designated area affects downtown, mostly downtown, West Hill, I think a little of South End. But the majority of what is designated blighted is in Second Ward. And believe me, there are people talking about that in Second Ward. And what I'm asking for is something in goals that specifically points out, yes, we're working on this. We have designated this, and now we're working on it. I don't know how we could pull back now and say, well, we gave it an official designation, but we don't want to say the word.
Well, I would have to tell you that when we did a grant with Heinz USA numerous years ago, it's not only Second Ward, it was that particular ward, whatever that is, over in the Heinz Clay area, that was one of the first ones, thank you, that was labeled as being blighted. And I've heard from residents or business owners in that area that they don't like that designation, didn't like it at that time, but it's part of the regulations. But pointing it out in a goal, I don't see the need when the other goals that we have should assist us in taking care of the blighted areas of the community.
Osama.
Well, what I would like to do, I make a motion to amend the motion that it was made and table this here for in-depth meeting down the road here, and we can visit with probably the Director of Planning and Zoning and the city planner here to discuss it in depth here, because there's a few questions that I would like to raise as well here.
So let me get this straight. You're making a motion to table
Yes,
the amendment that Mark made.
that's correct. So we can discuss it more in details here and come to a consensus as a resolution down the road.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
That would be Bob. Any discussion?
There's
about-
there's no
Okay.
discussion with the table.
This would be a roll call vote then, Rain, is that correct?
Your Honor, I believe there's a motion on the floor to approve this document. There are two vision statements. Don't we have to select one?
We're really deep into
All
it, aren't we?
together though, aren't they all connected together? Goals, vision, and mission
Yeah. But you tabled the motion
To
to
all.
amend.
to amend, to table it as a whole.
You're tabling the entire thing.
Yes, that's correct.
So you're not making a motion to.
That's not what it came
amend-
out, but
Yeah, that's not how it came out, but
You're making
okay.
a motion to table the
higher
item.
action.
The item,
amended motion?
the item as a whole, yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So I think we'll go with that.
Okay.
We have a second by Bob, no discussion, and we'll begin, let's see, you made the motion, Osama, so roll call vote.
Aye.
And Scott,
I'll say aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Mark,
Nay?
Tom,
Aye.
and Jeanette,
Aye.
and Bob.
Aye.
That would be 6-1, motion is tabled. Okay, let's move to item I, presented for City Council's consideration. Is a request to approve the annual urban renewal report for 2011-2012 and authorize its submission to the state of Iowa. House File 2460, approved by the state legislature in the spring of 2012, requires local governments in the state to complete and submit an annual report showing all activity with each of their urban renewal areas during the preceding fiscal year. Submission is required no later than December 1st of each year. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Scott, and a second? Second, Tom. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item J, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve change order number 1 for the Bond Schley Lift Station renovations. The total original project cost was $320,800. Changes made to the contract by Highbrand resulted in a reduction of $37,795, bringing the final project cost down to $283,005. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So move, Your Honor.
That would be Bob.
Second?
And second, Mark. Discussion, council? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item K, presented for City Council's consideration, is a request from the Traffic Committee to install no parking, I'm assuming that's signs, on the east side of Taylor Street between Hershey and Schiller. Parking is currently allowed on both sides of Taylor Street by Franklin School. When buses and other vehicles either churn onto Taylor from Hershey or vice versa, there is not enough room to negotiate the churning movement if cars are parked on Taylor. Roadway maintenance staff concurs with the problem identified because of the inability to operate snowplows safely and effectively on Taylor due to parked vehicles on the street. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
That was Phil. Second? Second, anyone?
Jeanette. She's-
Oh, Jeanette did? You have to speak up, Jeanette, please. Discussion, council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. It is now time for communications from our council members, beginning with Councilman Lorette.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and see you in December.
Phil.
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Scott.
Happy Thanksgiving as well.
Osam.
I did that. Thank you, Your Honor. Happy Thanksgiving to all the citizens of Muscatine.
Ditto.
Ditto on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Jeanette, speak up now.
Ditto.
Okay, thank you. Tom.
Okay, ditto. I also have a request. Earlier this year, we approved the installation of new data processing system in the finance department, and I'd like a progress report at some time. See how it's coming. So maybe at the next,
She's busy with budgets, so
Yeah.
she will make time.
Anything else, Tom? Okay, Randy.
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I have several items, actually. We received today a request to approve the holiday stroll. The stroll is
December
to
7th.
occur on December 7th, and since we need to get this approved tonight instead of the next meeting, which is on the 6th, we are recommending that this be approved by the City Council, subject to city staff's comments, restrictions, and holding a pre-event meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, council?
Did it before you asked me.
Happy holidays.
Okay.
Okay,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries 7-0.
next item, Your Honor, I just would like to remind people that there will be another neighborhood meeting for the Colorado Street Reconstruction Project. A meeting was held last night at the McAvoy Center. There will be another one at the McAvoy Center next Tuesday, the 20th, from 4:30 to 6:30. Certainly encourage people to attend and get a good look at what's going to happen with this particular project. Another item is there will be a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Mad Creek Flood Protection Project, and this is set for noon on December 6th. And the next item is to let you know that the city was notified that we were successful in receiving a $138,000 TSIP, which is Traffic Safety Improvement Program grant for the traffic signals as part of the Cedar Street Reconstruction Project at the high school. My compliments to John Lutz, Andy Kuriger from Muscatine Power and Water, Connie Mann, and Christy also helped on this, so good work, team. And the last thing that I would like to comment on, Your Honor, is we want to welcome Melanie Alexander as the new director of the Laura Musser Museum and Stanley Art Gallery. Melanie succeeds Barb Christensen. For 33 years, Barb has given devoted service to the citizens of Muscatine. Under her leadership, the growth of the permanent collection and the diverse exhibitions and educational programs encouraged and promoted the advancement, understanding, and enjoyment of the arts in our community. Barb's longstanding contribution and love of the arts will never be forgotten. Thank you, Barb. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Randy. Welcome. Randy?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Rita.
I won't be here next week, so I thought I would tell you now.
Nobody will be here next week.
Well, they will be for 3 days.
Okay.
Well, I will ditto the Thanksgiving wishes as well and extend a cordial invitation to anyone that is interested in attending Thanksgiving at the Salvation Army, 1000 Oregon Street. They really roll out the red carpet. They just ask for a small donation. And it's a good place to go meet new people, make new friends, and enjoy the holidays with your neighbors. Secondly, and I laid a poster on every council person's desk tonight about the 2 weeks of love coming up beginning the last Monday in this month and extending through the first Saturday in December, which I believe is December 8th. If you're not familiar with 2 weeks of love, that's actually I don't want to call it a promotion. It's an initiative to, in week number 1, collect non-perishable food items for the needy in our community, and all the food stays in our community, by the way. Week number 2, we call that Toy Time. And, well, by the way, I'm going to rewind here. Week number 1 is freezing for food, for obvious reasons. I stand out in the cold all day long and beg people for food donations. Week number 2 is a better gig for me because I get to do it inside at Kruger Motor Company, and we collect toys, new unwrapped toys for the needy as well. So I'm encouraging everyone to stop by the Hawk Truck for the 2 weeks of love. That's the vehicle that we use as a destination for our initiative. Week number 1 will be parked at Hy-Vee, week number 2 at Kruger Motor Company. So stop by and say hi. You might get to be on the radio as well. Oh, that's yours. And lastly, as many of you know, I just returned from a week in visiting with several city, provincial, and federal officials in China, as well as business people. Myself and a small delegation arrived in Beijing a week ago last Sunday, and then we traveled from there to Jinding County, which is the same as a city. In China, counties are cities, cities are counties. I know that can be confusing. Then we flew to Shanghai and then took a bus from Shanghai to Hangzhou and then back to Shanghai, and everywhere we went We were treated so good I can't even describe in words. It was just an awesome experience, and I'm here to assure everyone that the people of China are good people, and they want to be friends with Americans, and they want to partner with the United States of America. And believe it or not, Chicago, New York City, Los Angeles, California, Muscatine is at the top of the list, and those three aforementioned are somewhere down underneath Muscatine. Probably because the new chairperson of the Communist Party in China, as of yesterday, has set foot in Muscatine and left footprints here. And what he says, the Chinese people believe wholeheartedly, and they should. He's going to be a great leader. He is extremely fond of and interested in Muscatine, as well as the state of Iowa, as well as the United States. So you can believe what the media says, nothing personal, Mike, about the Muscatine Journal or anything like that, but sometimes we hear some really negative stuff about people from other countries. My father told me many years ago, believe half of what you see, none of what you hear. I can assure you they mean well. So I want to thank Musco Lighting for providing a lot of the transportation for my delegation in China, H&I for providing financial support, as well as Monsanto and other organizations in Muscatine. It was a great trip, and I hope we get to go back soon. So good things are happening in Muscatine, to quote former Mayor O'Brien. So that's all I have. Any other business, council? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, he took it away from you, Sam.
You can have it.